She's a three-time WSOP bracelet winner and one of the most feared tournament players alive. Here's a two-time GPI Player of the Year with over $30 million in cashes and a brain built for battle. So how did they end up together? This is the real story of poker's power couple, Kristen and Alex Foxen. Kristen Foxen didn't start with fame, sponsorships, or a spotlight. She started with focus. Back when she was still Kristen Bicknell, she was grinding long days, taking notes, and slowly building a reputation for being one of the most disciplined tournament players on the circuit. She wasn't loud, she wasn't flashy, but when the chips were down, she played like she belonged. She proved it over and over again. Her first WSOP bracelet came in 2013, then another in 2016. That alone put her on the map, but it was her consistency after those wins that made people look twice. She kept showing up, deep runs, final tables, year after year. While others came and went, Kristen was steady. At the table, she had a way of locking in that made even seasoned pros uncomfortable. No theatrics, no talk, just cards, reads, and pure execution. But it wasn't easy. Poker's always been a male-dominated space. For Kristen, that meant proving herself more than once. Every win came with a side of skepticism. People said she was lucky, that she couldn't hang with the high rollers, she wouldn't last. Instead of arguing, she let her results do the talking. Results were undeniable. Between 2016 and 2020, she crushed. Titles in Macau, big finishes in Canada and the US, a run of form that earned her the Female GPI Player of the Year 3 years straight. She wasn't just the best woman in poker, she was one of the best, period. And just when she was hitting her stride, Alex Foxen walked into the picture. Alex's road to poker was anything but typical. He didn't start out in card rooms or online forums. He was a college football player, a tight end at Boston College. Poker was a side hobby at first, something to pass the time between practices. But somewhere along the way, that hobby turned serious. The same discipline he'd used to study game tape, he started applying to poker. Hand histories, betting patterns, bankroll strategy. He dove in. In 2012, at just 21, Alex won a WSOP circuit event in New Orleans. It wasn't front page news, but it was enough to light the fire. He kept going, playing live events, studying the game, slowly making a name for himself. And then came 2017. That year, he finished second in the WPT 5 Diamond World Poker Classic, one of the toughest fields in the game. That single score was over $1 million. But more than the money, it was validation. He'd gone toe-to-toe with the best, and he wasn't backing down. From there, Alex's career exploded. He wasn't just cashing, he was winning. In 2018 and 2019, he did something no one else had ever done. He became the first player in history to win the Global Poker Index Player of the Year title back-to-back. It wasn't just because he was hot, it was because he was relentless. In 2018, Foxen stopped being the underdog. His name started appearing on every final table recap. Suddenly, it wasn't surprising to see him in the top 5 week after week. He wasn't just cashing, he was winning. And not just any events, high rollers, majors, against the toughest competition in the world. No one had ever done that before. He wasn't someone you overlooked anymore. He was the guy everyone wanted to avoid at their table. Not because he was loud or intimidating, but because he played with control. He made smart, fast decisions. He was locked in from the first hand to the last. He kept adding titles, kept showing up at final tables, kept putting in the work. Somewhere in the middle of that climb, Alex and Kristen crossed paths. It didn't come on camera. There was no dramatic first encounter. It started quietly, like most great poker stories do. They played the same events, ran into each other on the circuit, started talking. The connection wasn't flashy, but it was real. When they started dating, they didn't try to sell it. They didn't become a brand or play up their relationship for headlines. They kept showing up. City after city, tournament after tournament. And slowly, the poker world started to realize this wasn't just a couple sharing hotel rooms. This was a duo reshaping what poker partnerships could look like. No one expected it to work at this level. Most relationships struggle under the stress of one poker career. But two top-ranked players, constantly on the road, always chasing the next big score? It sounded impossible, but Kristen and Alex made it work. They weren't just dating, they were syncing. When one ran deep into a tournament, the other was right there. They had their own rhythm, one that didn't need explaining, and they didn't take it easy on each other. If the cards put them head to head, they didn't hesitate. That's how Kristen ended up knocked out by Alex twice in the same high roller event. It wasn't personal, it was poker, and they both understood that better than anyone. Kristen didn't let it rattle her. She never did. In fact,
got it back.
In 2020, she took down the 2500 No Limit Hold'em event in the WSOP online series. It wasn't just a big field, it was stacked with killers, all itching for a bracelet in a year with fewer chances to win one. Kristen stayed calm, outlasted everyone, and took home the title, her third WSOP bracelet. Then 2022 changed everything. Kristen made a deep run in the WSOP main event, the most watched poker tournament in the world. She went toe-to-toe with thousands of players, dodged countless landmines, and reached the final 13. It was the closest a woman had come to making the main event final table in years. For a moment, everyone believed she could do it. She didn't make the final table. An unfortunate all-in against Joe Sarok ended her run, but the point had already been made. And Alex, he wasn't slowing down either. His 2022 was just as massive. He took down the $250,000 super high roller at the WSOP for over $4.5 million, his biggest score yet. It was the kind of win that confirms a reputation. He was already known as one of the sharpest minds in the game. Now, he was a WSOP bracelet winner too. Individually, they were dominating. Together, they were setting a new standard. But it wasn't all about the trophies and headlines. It was about how they handled the grind, the daily pressure, the constant shifting of schedules, the mental fatigue. Most players burn out. The Foxens stayed sharp because they had each other. When Kristen final tabled a Poker Go Cup event in 2025, Alex was there. When Alex won the $106,000 WSOP Paradise main event and banked nearly $4 million, Kristen was there. Always on the rail, always locked in, always cheering each other on, even when the stakes were sky high. That same summer, while Kristen was capturing hearts in the main, Alex was out there doing something even rarer, winning one of the most prestigious high roller events on the calendar. That summer, Alex won the biggest buy-in of the year, the same $250K event in a field stacked with legends. And just like that, the Foxens became something even rarer in the poker world. A couple with multiple WSOP bracelets, each forged in fire, each earned on separate stages. They'd done what few thought possible, build separate legacies while growing something together. They didn't stop. In 2023, Kristen secured her fourth WSOP bracelet, another online title, this time in the $1,000 No Limit Hold'em event. Again, the field was massive. Again, she kept her cool. She battled through over 300 entries and took it down using her familiar screen name, Saraswati. Named after the Hindu goddess of wisdom, it was a fitting alias. Because when Kristen plays, it's not just about aggression. It's about timing, calculation, knowing exactly when to strike. That same year, two made headlines for a different reason, one that had nothing to do with titles or trophies. They got married. It wasn't a flashy Vegas ceremony. It wasn't a poker-themed event. It was real, it was private, and it was long overdue. After more than 5 years together, Kristen Bicknell officially became Kristen Foxen. And for the first time, the poker world had a married couple who could each walk into any high-stakes room in the world and be the best player there. Then, in 2024, they turned the volume up even more. In October, Alex jumped into the WSOP online event number 17, a $500 pot limit Omaha mystery bounty. The format was chaotic, the kind of tournament where anything could happen. But Alex didn't hesitate. He took on heavy hitters like Dan Smith and Chino Ream, stayed composed, and came out on top. That win gave him his second bracelet. Just a few days later, Kristen entered event number 19, a $1,000 No Limit Hold'em 6-max. It was a tough field with over 300 entries. She fired twice and missed. On her third try, she dialed in. No mistakes, no distractions. She played clean, confident poker and outlasted everyone. When it ended, she had her fifth WSOP bracelet. 2 world-class wins, 3 days apart, same household. While poker news outlets scrambled to catch up, the numbers quietly kept growing. By early 2025, Alex had close to $49 million in live tournament cashes. Kristen had passed the $9 million mark. Together, they were approaching $60 million. But it wasn't just about the money. It was about how they did it, hand by hand, review by review, always learning, always pushing each other to play better. They weren't just in love, they were locked in, professionally and personally. Wins didn't just feel like solo victories, they felt shared. And if it sounds like they've peaked, they haven't. This isn't the end of the Foxen story, it's just the next hand. Behind the trophies, the deep runs, and all the headlines, Kristen and Alex were quietly building something bigger than their own legacies. They weren't just showing up to play, they were showing up to lead. In 2018, Alex co-founded Chip Leader Coaching. It wasn't your average poker school. He wanted to help players think like pros, not just in hands, but in how they live, train, and handle pressure. Kristen was part of it too. She wasn't just supporting from the sidelines. She was right there, showing players what high-level execution really looked like. They both started showing up in interviews, on podcasts and events, not to brag, but to share. Kristen especially became a voice people wanted to hear. She didn't shy away from the hard stuff. She talked openly about the challenges women face in poker, the loneliness, the assumptions, the way the game still needs to evolve. And just by doing what she did best, playing fearlessly, she became a role model without trying to be one. Every time she made a final table, it meant something. It meant the next generation could see a path. Alex, on the other hand, stayed as grounded as ever. He didn't talk much. When he did, it was all substance. He gave credit where it was due, to Kristen, to his competitors, to the game. No ego, just hunger. That's how he climbed to number 21 on the all-time tournament earnings list by 2024. Not by chasing volume, but by showing up prepared every single time.
The other day in the 50K, you got sat next to your wife. I think everyone in the poker community is curious about, how do you feel? What goes through your mind when you sit down in a huge high roller next to the wifey?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's definitely weird because we talk about poker a lot and we both know how each other thinks about the game very intricately. So there's an extra element of dynamic there where it's kind of like, a bit of a leveling more. So it can be interesting, but it's just all fun.
I mean, it's where we met, so there's some element of comfort, or, just that I'm, used to him and used to playing versus him. It's not like, this new thing. Honestly, more than anything, I don't want anyone else to feel uncomfortable in any way. Obviously, I prefer not to play with him, for various reasons. He's good. And I think, yesterday he took a 3-bet spot versus me, and I'm like, I know, and there's you level yourself. So it's a little tricky in that way. But other than that, it is what it is.
But they knew the game wasn't all glory. They'd seen how it could wear players down. The swings, the silence after a loss, the moments when confidence disappears. They felt it too. But instead of letting it break them, they leaned on each other, kept pushing forward. In 2019, Alex hit a wall. A brutal downswing wiped out millions. For a while, it rattled him. Instead of folding under the weight, he went back to the basics. He studied harder, watched more hands, learned to stop chasing perfect outcomes and start chasing perfect decisions. That shift changed everything. He stopped playing with ego. He started playing with clarity. Kristen had her own battles. Being one of the few women at the top meant she carried pressure most players never had to think about. Every result felt like a statement. Every mistake got magnified, but she didn't let it get to her. She just kept showing up and doing the work. And through it all, they leaned on each other. They didn't just support each other, they understood each other. When one made a deep run, the other was there watching every move. When one busted early, there was no blame. Just a quiet nod, the next one's ours, and they moved on. Every now and then, they ended up at the same final table. It didn't happen often, but when it did, it was all business. They played hard, played fair, no soft spots, no shortcuts. Just two pros doing what they do best. That was always the deal: honesty, competition, and respect. If they were going to be in this together, they were going to do it the right way. And along the way, they built something bigger than titles or cash. They built a story that said you could chase greatness without giving up connection. That you could go all in on your career and your relationship. That the real win is doing both side by side. As of 2025, they're still at it. Still coaching, still grinding, still proving that the best teams don't just share a home, they share a vision. They're just getting started. So, are Kristen and Alex Foxen really poker's ultimate power couple? Let us know in the comments below. You don't walk away in the middle of a heater. This story's just picking up steam. If you thought this chapter was wild, wait till you see what's coming Wednesday and Friday. The drama's real, the legends are building, your seat's already reserved.